I will call out somebody's name, and then I'm going to say another word or statement. And you have to choose between two, right? Choose between two. One is AI, one is human. Okay? Whichever you believe it should be. All right? Super duper. You know what? I'm sorry. What was your name again?
Gideon.
Gideon. Okay, Gideon. All right. Are you ready? We'll start with Chris. New hire. New hire orientation. AI or HR? Human. AI or human?
Human.
Ruth. Focus group discussions.
Human, definitely.
Human. Gideon. Conflict mediation.
Human.
Carmi. Payroll processing.
AI.
AI. Ruth. Performance reviews.
Human. Some aspects
Human.
can be
Human.
AI,
Yeah. Okay. Human. Human. All right. Gideon. Exit interviews.
AI.
Chris. Benefits enrollment.
AI.
Carmi. Employee recognition.
AI.
AI. Okay. My gosh. There's a lot here. Gideon. New hire requirements tracking.
AI.
AI. Okay. Chris. Background checking. Background check screening.
AI.
Carmi. Clearance process.
Claims.
Clearance.
Clearance. AI.
AI. There are so many of these. Oh my God, who did these? There are so many. Oh my God. Where are we going to end? Gideon. Candidate sourcing.
AI.
Chris. Succession planning.
Human.
Ruth. Job offer discussion.
Human.
Carmi. Interview scheduling. Interview scheduling.
AI.
AI. Chris. Training needs analysis.
AI.
Ruth. Timekeeping.
AI.
Very good. Gideon. Resume screening.
AI.
AI. It's going fast. Yeah. Carmi. Culture building activities.
Human.
Human. Chris. Talent review.
Hybrid, is that possible?
Hybrid. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Ruth. Performance improvement program.
Human.
Gideon. Disciplinary action.
Human.
Carmi. Employee training.
Human.
And last one, Ruth. Candidate skills assessment.
AI.
AI. All right. Did they do well? Yeah? Did you disagree or agree with any of it? Definitely agree, yeah.
But I saw some people doing.
No. No. Well, I think what we can say is that there's a place for AI and there's a place for humans, right? There's a place for it. And what do you think, Gideon, just out of anything here, what do you think is the determinant to what we should do with AI and what we should do with humans?
Well, when you're dealing with AI, you're limited to certain codes. So it has to fall into a white or black category. Mm-hmm. If it falls outside of that white or black category, then it becomes, there is a need for a human intervention. Mm-hmm. So for example, when you asked about a disciplinary action, when you put it under an AI mechanism and then you say, under in all circumstances, the penalty is this, it might be wrong towards a particular instance. So for example, an employee who is late, employee 1 is late, employee 2 is late. Both of them committed a wrong against the company. But employee 1 was late because his excuse is traffic. Mm-hmm. Employee 2's excuse is that his mom was sent to the ICU. Of course, you can do other codes to make you can say, under this setup, you can qualify, further qualify. But the moment you're dealing with whenever you're dealing with something that you cannot fully anticipate, it would be wrong to totally rely on AI.
That's right. Tell us a little bit about your company also, Gideon.
Sorry?
Tell us a little bit about your company.
All right, so we're iCare. Just can I indulge you with a story?
Sure.
Yeah, just a short story. So about 2 years ago, one of the biggest BPOs in the Philippines came to us saying, we've been with another HMO about 10 years, but we have a big problem. They're okay, they said. But year on year, they would charge us additional increase in premium. And I think that's a common concern among you, right? And then they said, why? What's wrong? And then they said, the other HMO they would always say, there is medical inflation. That's true. We all know that there is medical inflation. But is there something that we can do? And then they came to us and then we said, we can help you. And it was a leap of faith for them. It was one of the biggest BPOs. And then after that, another BPO came to us doing the same thing. Fast forward, about a few months ago, they actually renewed for 2 years with us. No price escalation. How we did it? Just leave your cards in our booth outside or give it to me, and we can do a presentation to you. We'll discuss in detail what we did for those. Why can't I say it right now? Again, the same thing that I answered earlier. We're not dealing with a black and white. Every company has its own concerns, issues, systems. You have your own demographics. And for us to be able to help you, it has to be personalized. That's why we're using both human and AI. We invested heavily on data sciences. We have our own data analytics team. And then we also have one of the best actuaries out there, who happens to be our president and CEO, Mr. Ronnie Francisco over there. So he's been in the industry for more than 30 years. And he's worked with a lot of the big players out there. And because of that, his expertise combined with the data science that we have, we're able to provide cost-effective solutions. And the common concern is some HMOs would provide you a very low cost or very low price on the first year, but they do a price escalation on the second year. What we do, we never do that. We provide affordable but sustainable pricing so that you won't get shocked on your second year. So for the first BPO that I mentioned, they renewed for us for 2 years without any price escalation. So that's one of our success stories. If you want to know more about iCare, you can just go to our website, www.icare.com.ph, or schedule a presentation with us. Thank you.
So I want to ask a question because you mentioned using AI
Right.
as well as part of your process. Has that improved the overall experience for your clients and customers?
It certainly did. But using AI does not necessarily mean that you would depend on human less. In fact, by using AI, you would depend on human more. Because there are some things that computers cannot do. It's only humans can do. So insofar as the satisfaction is concerned, in fact, a lot of our pain points are being addressed by automation. And then we're also exploring a lot of we're exploring with a lot of possible partnerships to bring AI into our systems, more and more AI into our systems.
One could even argue that the savings that you have as a company by automating, by using technology, you're giving back to your customers.
Correct.
I'm helping you sell. I'm just wanted to let you know. I'm helping you guys sell.
And can I say something? If you choose iCare, Fullerton Health is accredited. So you can also go to our center. Not all HMOs are accredited by Fullerton Health.
Thank you for saying that, Carmi.
But yes, I do believe that because the more you can automate some things that are, repetitive tasks within your company, that comes back to you in some sort of savings. And you can utilize that to invest in other areas or even give back to your customers. And I think that's what you guys are doing as well.
Right.
Okay, great. Well, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chris, how are you?
Pretty good,
is
thanks.
This is Chris Rosenthal. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Sure. So maybe I'll start with the company. So I work with Aon, which is AON, Aon. There are many others that sound similar, but ours is AON. So Aon is a global risk management firm, and I belong to the people side of the risk component. So a lot of times I work with a lot of clients in the HR space because people risk is really one of the top 10 risks that we are facing today. In fact, we do a global study every now and then, and in the very recent study, we found the ability to attract and retain talent and well-being and sustainability has been forming top 5 risks from previously number 9. So it's really quite significant, and that really has propelled a lot of our attention to serving clients in the well-being space. So I'm the strategic advisory leader for the health and well-being and human capital solutions team. I work in the consulting team. We work very closely with these guys, with iCare, Fullerton, and many others. And maybe in the future with you too, and you. We do, okay. Tell me about that later. But yeah, so we work very closely together in serving our clients in the healthcare space, particularly around looking at health risk factors. You speak about AI, so we use a lot of AI tools in our data analytics, different portals and platforms. And in that, we look at health risk factors, and we can stratify risks we can stratify the population according to low, mid, high risk, and then look at possible solutions that we can provide to help curtail or mitigate those risks. And at the end of the day, come up with different programs. So for example, addressing lifestyle diseases, chronic disease management. These are a lot of the cost drivers that we often see around well-being. And again, to mitigate the high cost of premiums, high cost of attrition, high cost of poor productivity because well-being is suffering, and all of these really impact productivity at the end of the day. So these are some of the programs and solutions that we come up with, and we co-create with our clients.
And what are these? Are there other best practices that you see?
Yeah, so aside from just using tools and technology, it's really, well-being is the core topic, right? So maybe I'll spend a bit of time there in terms of best practices. Yeah. So having worked with several clients over the past few years, I've seen that, so many, when I say so many, around 9 out of 10 clients usually have well-being initiatives. Mm-hmm. Very fancy definitions of well-being. They come up with different pillars of well-being, physical, emotional, financial, etc., right? So different companies define it in different ways and have different pillars. But at the end of the day, when we really dig deeper about their well-being strategy, execution, the ROI, what we have discovered is that a lot of clients will have initiatives as a check in the box. Like I said, 9 out of 10 times we come across clients which have initiatives. But then if you dig deeper and ask the question, do you have a strategy? And by strategy, I mean, is it well-defined from top down? Are there executionable action plans in place? And more importantly, are there KPIs that are being tracked? Not participation. Participation rates is the bare minimum that we should track, and oftentimes that's being tracked. But we need to go deeper in the analysis of well-being to look beyond just participation rates to determine KPIs that will move the needle. And in addition to that, the strategy should also include reporting back, because we know if it's not reported, it doesn't get measured and it doesn't get done. So.
Right. Can you give us an example? What would be one? I mean, are we talking yoga sessions? Are we talking bike rides? Or are we talking something deeper?
Those are initiatives. Yeah. The check in the box kind, like Biggest Loser, the most common, right? So they're not even best practices anymore. Maybe they were before, but not anymore. But I'm not saying that we shouldn't do those yoga sessions. They're good. Biggest Loser. I mean, these are good initiatives. But again, you need to make sure that they're anchored on a bigger strategy, right? So an example I can think of, as I mentioned earlier, in working with our clients, in the Aon portfolio, we work with about 400 clients in the Philippines, where Aon is their health and well-being broker. and they're human capital consultant. So as the consulting company to these clients that we serve, we look at their medical premiums, the rise in premiums year on year, and on average we see around 15%. That's our current medical trend rate in the Philippines. We're one of the highest in Asia. Last year it was 14, so we're still on the rise even as we emerge from post-COVID, right? But if you dig deeper, what are the cost drivers that are impacting this medical trend rate, rise in premiums of 15% on average? We really focus and drill down on the chronic conditions, the lifestyle conditions that are impacting the rise in premiums. So these are what? Hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, things like that, obesity, even muscular skeletal, what's the term, Doc Aika? MSK, which are also a big cost driver. So when we drill down on these different illness categories, we also drill down on risk factors of the employee workforce. Right. So this is quite unique. We can take your employee population. I know you have, for example, PSG, you have over 2,000 employees, right? So I can tell you, Monica, your low-risk people are maybe around 40%. Your high risk are in the 20%. That is the population we need to address because they're the ones driving your claims. They're the ones driving your cost whenever you have renewals of your insurances. They're the ones who are impacting your productivity because they're not well. And so perhaps absenteeism is high. Engagement could be low, and at the end of the day, all of these metrics really impact performance and the business sustainability.
Right. So you're really looking at preventing a lot of this before it actually happens rather than getting care later. And I think it's really interesting also as you focus on something that's a little bit deeper than just the initiatives, but you're looking at something that's actually causing a problem, whether it's obesity, hypertension. It's a lifestyle. I work in the night shift. We talked about that earlier. And it's very difficult sometimes, but you have to be very disciplined about getting sleep. And as I've gotten older, sleep becomes, kind of precious. And as you get, it's a luxury, that's right, because if you're in the night shift, you're awake, there's so many things that you want to do, but you have to be very disciplined about, I need 8 hours of sleep. And as I get older, I wake up in the middle of it much more easily, and I get less sleep. So you have to be very, very intentional about some of these things. So what you're talking about is very intentional, looking at the population, really diagnosing where can you focus in on these strategies, not so much initiatives, in order to prevent some of the more dire kind of diseases or anything else that's going to help. And one of the things that you kind of mentioned here was obesity. I'm going to touch on that because, Ruth, you come from a very interesting company as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so maybe a little bit about Ubisoft as a whole. So Ubisoft started like 1986. So it started with a small family in France, the Guimont family. So they saw an opportunity with software development and decided to use that to publish and develop games worldwide. So it started from a small family business into a global brand. So now Ubisoft has more than 40 studios worldwide. We have about 19,000 team members and millions of people in our player community. So yes, we do a lot of gaming. In the Philippines, we started 9 years ago. We have a very talented team of artists, programmers, designers, animators, audio artists who work on all of these games that we co-develop with other studios. So Ubisoft has been working on major franchises like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, For Honor, Skull and Bones. I'm sure some of you, if you're not gamers yourselves, maybe family members or kids, they're definitely aware of Ubisoft.
I was going to say, I don't know any of those things that you said.
Me too, when I started.
It's actually speaking Swahili. Okay. But so it's very interesting because in my mind, I sometimes see gaming as negative. Because I will see, in movies, you see this one guy, and he's got his eyes just on the screen, and that's it. And meanwhile, he's got Cheetos, falling down off of him, and he's been wearing his sweatpants for a week. They could walk up by themselves. I see it as somewhat negative. And to a degree, I think if you become addicted and it gets out of hand, then you can start to see some of these issues. But you guys see it as a positive. There are some things gaming can do that turn into positives for people. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So, yes, indeed, there is that perception, but also, like all things in life, the key is moderation. In terms of the games themselves, I think Ubisoft has also been aware of that tendency. So Ubisoft has been one of the pioneers in using motion control in their games. So if there's anyone here who's played Just Dance, that is one of ours. So it forces our players to actually get up and move with the game itself. And gaming, according to research also, has been very good for developing cognitive skills. In some countries, it's also been used in elderly homes to keep their senses alert. It's also very good for decision making, for problem solving, team building in some companies. It's also been quite helpful in terms of nourishing mental health because it does give a sense of achievement to its players. In terms of COVID, for example, games has been a bridge for people to develop social skills in the midst of all that. So games in itself, it does give very different experiences to its players. So for some, it can be a source of relaxation. So at the end of the day, some people find themselves booting up a game to find something new, something exciting for themselves. Some people sit on their couch, have some time with their kid, play a game together. Someone could be seeing themselves projected in one of the characters in our game, and that gives them a sense of representation or validation. In some cases, maybe it just gives them a sense of fun to play someone else in a different world just for a few hours. So it does give a different experience for everyone, but at the end of it all, the purpose really is to give that memorable gaming experiences to our players.
So you mentioned families as well. How do you think we can bring in gaming into the family time in a positive way? How can we do that?
In our company, we do have a lot of activities that focus on not just the team members that we have. Of course, we have our wellness programs, we do our road shows, but of course, with every activity that we have, we also want to pull in families and have them, especially the kids, introduced to what we do. So we have activities where we do bring in the children for Halloween events. Last year, we had an off-site activity in one of the in Enchanted Kingdom. We brought all of the team members and their family members just to have them more aware of what we're doing. So a lot of that is weaved into the personality of who we are as a company, because a lot of what we do in our games is actually founded in who we are as people, as part of our families. So we do want to always seek opportunities to involve others in what we do.
And so do you see bringing gaming into the HR well-being or HR space at all? I mean, can you guys collaborate and find out how you can utilize gaming in
let's
this
do.
HR space? How can they get into this?
We've actually worked with Eon for a while, but I think it's a different arm. So it had to do with benchmarking benefits, of course, meeting our team members where they are in their lives. But gaming in itself, it's a gaming company, so we try to game a lot of the things that we do, from onboarding to actual games inside the company where we have, I forgot the term, we have hunts inside the studio just to get people up, just to, in the middle of the day, okay, look for the rabbit, get this prize. So things like that, just to keep people active. We also have clubs where actual games may be intertwined. We have esports, as well as other physical clubs like running and hiking. So
Yeah.
we do want to make sure that people are
Get up.
excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things, especially if you work in an office or you work at home, you're stationary a lot. And that potentially leads to a lot of different problems. Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to add to what Ruth said. So maybe a lot of the gamification, even before AI, right? I remember before Aeon, I was in the HR space, as Richard so kindly mentioned. And even back then, we were doing a lot of gamification, not just for engagement-related initiatives, but also in terms of performance. Having teams compete with each other, you can stack rack the teams and have a board, a leaderboard that shows how team one against all the other teams in the production floor are doing. So even that, right, is already gamified. And well-being can certainly be gamified as well. Apart from the ones that were mentioned earlier, there are so many different initiatives where you can implement some form of gamification programs embedded to make it more fun as well.
Absolutely. So Carmi, you are in the kind of screening well-being space as well, and that's probably your advocacy. How did you get into this, and why is it interesting for you to be a health advocate?
I have been in this healthcare industry for the last 3.5 decades. I started working when I was 5. No. As a marketer, I need to bring health closer to the HRs. That's why, incidentally, I became an HR. So I work with human resource, and part of that, I have insisted wellness. Even before it has not been a buzzword, I have been talking about it. 35 years ago, that's long. So it's about preventive care. That's the start, because as Gideon mentioned, there's a rising cost in the healthcare. The premium is really on the average 10 to 15%, but not you. But generally, no. So we need to do something, and we have to be proactive. And preventive care is one, and that's why using AI. Actually, we're using AI with our medical result. Not a robot, but we're able to churn all the information from the interview, from the lab result, imaging, family history, and all. It's all consolidated using AI, and it's validated by our lifestyle medicine expert. So, and this is to be able to provide a more extensive result, to be able to provide medical data that will be understandable and patient-friendly. So then they will be able to appreciate and really work harder on how to improve their well-being. It's not just the typical, okay, here's your result, that's it. No, it's up to referring them to the right specialist so that everything will be smooth and seamless. So I have been an advocate of active lifestyle, wellness, and I'm really happy that in the Philippines, we now have Fullerton Health, which is dedicated for executive health screening. And we hope to be able to work with HMOs, brokers, to be able to look at the data of every company and proactively design something customized to their needs. That would impact the cost and the premium. So, yeah, and we need to promote wellness. Everyone must be an advocate of wellness. Mental health is so rampant already, and it should start from us. We should be able to listen to new trends, look at new tools, and was able to share some of the tools earlier. So we should be able to explore and really try new things.
Yep, absolutely. So last question for each one of you, and answer quickly, because then we'll go to the audience for questions, okay? Fast question. So, being HR, they're obviously, thought of as a cost center for the companies. But you need to be able to give them, or companies need to be able to give them the funds to be able to have some sort of wellness program. So now if technology is the enabler to this, or an enabler to well-being, how can we help the HR teams or our HR leaders be able to talk to their supervisors, their company, whoever it is, to show that, hey, you invest in well-being, you invest in maybe a technology that helps with well-being, it will actually be fruitful overall for the company. How do we help them do that?
Yeah, that's the most challenging part, convincing the CEO to spend money for that. Like, they will be compelled to spend for an employee in the ICU rather than do a wellness program,
Yep.
like a 3-year program. It has to be data-driven, and AI will be able to help us. We start with baseline. This is where we are right now. We're paying this, we're spending this, and this is the profile. Everything must be measured, like engagement rate, fallout, or like absenteeism, lost revenue from those things.
Yep.
And we should be able to put that number. And this will only happen if we work with HMO, if we work with facilities. Like, instead of sending people to hospital, why can't you send to this facility, which will give you the same quality of care, less cost?
Yeah.
It should be open to everyone and present it in a way that here is the data, here's where we are right now, this is the expense, but
Right.
this is the reward, or
Yep.
this is the ROI. And these are my enablers, these are my partners
Yes.
who are gonna work with me.
Yep.
It has to be, you need to be courageous. As I said, let's not do business as usual because it's not supposed to be the case.
Yes, absolutely. Anybody else? Any other thoughts on how we can help HR teams?
So, can I share another story? Just a short one.
Okay.
So
Richard's looking at us, all right.
we did a performance review with one telco, one of the largest telcos in the Philippines. And then during the performance review, the chief HR said, this is the first time we're having savings because of HMO. And because of the millions of savings we're having, I have the budget to allocate for employee benefits, other benefits that the employees can directly enjoy, not just those who got sick. And this was made possible because we invested in technology. And that technology allows us to catch fraud, waste, and abuse in the healthcare ecosystem. So one classic example is you have a lot of employees going to the ER just to get a med cert. Just to, either some of them are really sick, but there's also a big percent that they're just doing a fake sick leave. Natatawa yung iba dito, nakarelate ata.
Anybody can relate, right?
And our data, because of data, we're able to determine some of them, they're really fake. You know why? Because they're always sick in between holidays. There's a trend.
Yes,
There's a trend. And things like that can be caught by technology. So you know that you have a problem. You have a problem either in behavior, in perception, in culture. And things like that cannot be solved without data. And data is best harvested by technology.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you can solve a lot of things, not just on money, but for example, on the issue of absenteeism. You know that these are the group of people that, nag-sick leave, pero pagbalik nila, naging tan yung skin.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we can share to your companies when you go back home. You know, this is something that was done by iCare. They invested in technology, and because of that, they're able to help their clients, and in turn, they're able to get more and more clients. So in fact, one of the largest conglomerates in the Philippines recently switched to iCare in January of this year. And they're already telling us, you know, we will want to get, because their contracts is divided into different companies. They're saying we want one contract for all of us, and we want it on a long term with you because you're helping us solve a lot of things.
Yeah, it goes forward
Yeah,
to everybody
right.
else once you see that real ROI in that investment. Yeah.
Maybe just to add to that, I think it's just all about having that balance between human and AI, making sure that we maximize what we can, using AI or tech in our tool belt as HR. I think as HR, the main benefits that we get out of it is one, enhancing awareness and accessibility of our team members to the services that we have for them. Second, making sure that we give them that customized approach in terms of what they need, in terms of how we can help them. And thirdly, to make sure that we have standardized processes and give them a consistent employee
Yes.
experience all the time. So, like what they mentioned, a lot of what we do in our companies is very data driven, and
Yeah.
it's about us maximizing that in order for us as HR to expand our creativity outside of just the day-to-day work.
Great, good. Yes,
So
Chris.
maybe just back to the question about HR being a cost center, and a lot of times we're asking the CEO, CFO for money because we need to spend for programs. Absolutely true, but I think HR needs to level up its game. And by that, I mean really coming with hard numbers and strategy, linking back to the overall strategy of the organization, and make sure that the HR initiatives where we ask money for are anchored against the overall business strategy. But in addition to that, in proposing new programs, new businesses, new strategies to implement, always come with, here is the impact. So it's not just give me money, I need budget, but this is the resulting impact to the organization if I implement these programs. And that's what I mean by need to level up.
Yep, absolutely. So data-driven and be able to show everything. Okay.
Well, we'll just have time for a couple of questions, but maybe if I could ask, Chris mentioned that 40% of your employees are low risk and 20% are high risk. So maybe if I could ask, what would be the characteristics? Are there obvious characteristics of people who are high risk as opposed to low risk? One, and then two, 15% increases in rates for HMO per year. Are there any organizations who are reversing that trend or at least holding it? If so, what would be the things they're doing? So if you can answer either one or both the questions.
Sure. So that was an example, Richard, the 40% low risk, 20% high risk. That's an example that I was telling Monica. For example, we can stratify, look at your entire workforce and club them as low, mid, high. And if, for example, you do have 20% high risk, the data point that we look at would be your claims. So who are top utilizers, where are they going, what are they going for, even when they're going, because it could be around the holiday. And so when we look at the claims data, then we look at the why, right? So these are the ones I mentioned earlier, which are oftentimes lifestyle or chronic diseases, non-communicable diseases. And these non-communicable diseases, the examples I gave earlier, are really the cost drivers, why your premiums keep going up each year. So your second question about are there things that are being done to move the needle to help mitigate the cost? Absolutely. And I think as we emerged from the pandemic, this is one of the things that we often talk about with our clients, right? Our narrative is always around, do you look at your claims data? Yes, it's telling you, painting a picture of what physical well-being is all about, but it also leads to emotional well-being, financial well-being, mental health. At the end of the day, they're all interconnected. But so do you look at your claims data and dig deeper into the why, what, when, where, how in the illness categories? And then number three, do you, more importantly, come up with programs to mitigate? So most commonly, what we have helped companies with, Richard, is pertaining to chronic disease management. And a really very comprehensive and strategic chronic disease program to help bring the costs down. So that's just one example in the interest of time. So happy to share more later
Thank
on.
you. Somebody has a question in the audience.
Yes, I'm Dr. Roy Mangbat from
Hi.
Chevron. My question is about HMO utilization. So health programs really works in terms of managing employees. We've decreased utilization through our health programs. But one key factors that really affects the overall utilization of our company is dependence. So probably iCare or Aon can provide ideas in terms of how can we influence dependence in terms of helping us in curbing our utilization, because utilization among dependents nowadays are getting higher. We have more dependents enrolled in HMO rather than employees, right? So we really need to do something and manage the escalating utilization among dependents.
Thank you.
Right. So I'll take that question. I think it falls right under my turf. So there are things that we can control and there are things that we cannot control. And as an HMO, we focus on the things that we can control. for dependents, we always we dive deep into what are the causes, leading causes of cost that drives up your utilization. In the last year, you would be surprised that one of the highest sources of utilization, both for members and for dependents, would be animal bites. Meron sa inyong employee na nakagat, nakalmot, or what? And the trend, the usual behavior of people when they got bitten by a dog or cat or whatever, or they get scratched, is to run to the ER. And when they run to the ER, you know what happens? You drive in, you affect the law of supply and demand. You make the ER crowded. So we talk with a lot of hospitals, and they're saying they've seen a rapid increase of ER cases just due to animal bites. So what we did, we started shepherding these people instead of going to the ER. Go to specialty clinics who can administer animal bite shots, or go to animal bite centers. So right now, iCare has one of the largest networks of animal bite centers. And because of that, from the usual cost of ER, say 10,000, that's driven down to less than 2,000. So when you do the math, when you have 100 employees going to the ER versus not going to the ER, that's automatic savings for the company. So there are a lot of things that we do. We have this project alert in our company. So every week, especially for the biggest companies, we monitor data utilization on a daily and weekly basis. We meet as a company on a weekly basis. And whenever there's a company that has high utilization, that's higher than the trend, we automatically look into what's causing the high utilization. And then whenever that happens, we don't wait for the renewal period. We don't wait for the next business review to tell you that something's wrong. The moment we see that something is wrong, we tell the client, hey, something's wrong. We need to work on this.
Yep.
And it becomes especially helpful when we're working with Aon, for example, because they're also able to help us and explain to the client that, hey, this might be difficult to do, but this is something that we have to do.
Yep.
So again, if you want to know more of those things, just drop your card in our booth outside.
Thank you so much.
Let me add, because I am concerned, Chevron is a big company. There's a big cost in the P&L. One of the things you mentioned about the facility, from ER to a standalone clinic, which will save you 50% or 100%. In most cases, we work with HRs and the CEOs. We tell them, executive checkups is not supposed to be in the hospital. Hospital is for the sick people.
Right.
You'll be able to save X amount if you bring this to Fullerton Health. Plus the delightful experience that no one is giving. We give you 5-star rating.
But I think people don't really know a lot about that. So it's great that
the
you'll
old
be able to say that.
mindset,
Yes.
yeah.
But because most people will think, I'm hurt, I need to go to the emergency room. They don't think, oh, I'm hurt, I need to go to a specialty. But it's great that you guys have brought that out. And I think it's great that you guys are continuing to do that. Thank you all so much for being here and being a part of the panel. I think that everyone learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
An intense session. Please come on, let's have a picture. Thank you.